nice cup of joe in the morning. I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning or day, evening so far. And I just wanted to take my morning to sort of recap my 2022 video game collection for my 3DS. I haven't ever taken like game collecting seriously, and I thought it'd be time to just take inventory and see what I have so far. While I'm sort of giving more attention to picking up more titles to complete the collection for the games that I had as a kid and the ones that I really want, and just just take it a bit more seriously. So let's do a 2022 recap of my current 3DS library. I got them all stacked right here, so it should be easy to get through. It's not a terribly huge collection, but I will start with Animal Crossing New Leaf. This was a game that I think, like a lot of other people, we absolutely poured a lot of hours into. I think mine clocked in at around 400 to 500 hours just for a video game about moving furniture and talking to little Animal Crossing villagers. Definitely took me by surprise for the type of game that I thought I would like. The first time I ever got into an Animal Crossing game was in middle school on the Nintendo DS for Wild World. And my friends played it, and then they showed me what it was, and they showed like a Santa Claus during Christmas flying by dropping presents, and I was blown away. There was even like cool little stuff like UFOs that would come and visit. And Animal Crossing New Leaf really took it to the next level by introducing public works projects and just your ability as a mayor to quickly recap. You had so much more control than any other games in the franchise. So really, to this day, one of my favorite Animal Crossings. Sorry, New Horizons. Okay, so this is also like when I started just recently picking up more games for my library to play in the future. So this is going to be sort of a guilty game. I have not yet played Legend of Legacy, but I was just perusing, looking through really solid JRPGs that I would like to play in the future, and this seemed to be one of those top picks. So I'm really glad I picked it up because I think it's kind of hard to find these days. Same with Stella Glow. This is another JRPG that is kind of visual novelty. I was recently playing a couple hours of it. I thought the strategy gameplay so far was a little simple, but it's mostly about like the character interaction and the very kind of boy meets girl type of, or I guess an ensemble of women type of true JRPG fashion. So I like the voice acting. It was really clean. The visuals are also super clean and just really poppy and eye-catchy, so I do appreciate a good-looking game. So that is also on the docket. This one is Hey Pikmin. Not really proud to have this game in my collection for the sake of playing a good game, because it is not a good game. It is an absolutely like kind of phoned in, hey, we're going to be taking the Pikmin branding and just shoehorning in super simple gameplay that is really honestly for like 5-year-olds. That is not like to say that you can't enjoy it for, I guess, the franchise living on in some form or fashion on the 3DS. But they really did like a simplification, like 2D side scroller of the game that I thought really just didn't do the franchise justice for the traditional Pikmin gameplay that we think that we could have had on the 3DS. Maybe the Pikmin would have been too small on the screen, I'm not sure, but yeah, I really purely just picked this up simply because I love the franchise, and I also just kind of wanted it to complete a set. So that's that. This one my boyfriend got me, and I have not been a huge Metroid fan, but I know that this was definitely a banger. So Metroid Samus Returns, I believe, was a remake of a game and really did like revitalize a lot of the true hardcore fans that have just been dying for any kind of new game back in, when did this come out? 2017? Yeah, 2017. So seeing like what we got these days for Metroid Dread, and then hopefully eventually Prime, that'd be really cool, and I'm sure a lot of the fans are looking forward to that to this day. What else do we have? Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask. I've always loved the Professor Layton series, like ever since the DS days. with the Curious Village, Diabolical Box. Just as a kid, seeing something animated and fully voice acted on a DS console was just blew my mind. So I've been enthralled with the little puzzles, all of the little quips that they make, and just the little dings and sound effects that they have in this game. Level 5 just did a really good job with this. I have not completed this one, but I will probably get the itch for Professor Layton and just want to pile drive through all of the games. So yeah, this is on the to-do list. Let's see. Ooh, Theater Rhythm or Theatrhythm Final Fantasy. I think it's just Theater Rhythm. But this is just one of those games where as a rhythm game, it's like they just made a love letter and an appreciation to just video game music as a whole. I wish a lot more franchises would just make rhythm games just to play and enjoy the soundtracks of so many beloved titles. It recently inspired me to just go back on my piano and just learn a little medley for Men with the Machine Gun, and that is just an absolutely like super brain-warmy, catchy track, and I want to finish up and learn that song sometime this month. So I'm practicing that, and thank you Theater Rhythm for just sharing the love of music. This is also in the same franchise. This is Theater Rhythm Final Curtain, or just Curtain Call. This one I've yet to touch because I'm still playing through the first game, but I figured since I saw it at my local book-off store for pretty cheap, it was worth the pickup, and I know I'll pretty much like any of the music and the tracks and the gameplay as the first one. There is actually a third Dragon Quest crossover that I believe was Japanese only. I do want to get that and play that through, but I'm not a huge Japanese game specific collector. I mostly like to import stuff through just like US or English titles. But that is definitely on the list to complete this set. Let's see. Resident Evil Revelations. I think this was a huge like milestone for seeing what the 3DS was capable of. I think this was around the launch time of the 3DS, and I have not picked this up until like in adulthood, and I was just blown away by like, wow, like the 3DS can pump out these visuals and just get this immersive and make me this spooked for my life while playing a DS game. So yeah, Resident Evil Revelations, really fun pickup. I know that this is a remake and there was a Wii U version, but just for some reason I really do like it on the 3DS. We have an oldie but goodie. This is Brain Age Concentration Training. And it's just one of those fun, quirky kind of just learning, like big brain games where you just go through puzzles and you figure out different simple like algebra and like patterns. But I really did like the professor that teaches you in this game, and he's just really quirky and really lovable. So I don't know if he's like based off of like Satoru Iwata or anything, but yeah, this was just a really fun little way to get your brain going. One classic that I think everyone has played and probably pushed the DS to, I don't know, to more players because of its really rocky launch, but Mario Kart 7, a really solid Mario Kart game. I don't think there's ever really been a bad one, but yeah, it really did boost the player base for the 3DS system, and although Mario Kart 8 pretty much eclipses it in every way, I think it's still a solid playthrough, and just you can't have a bad time with Mario Kart. Okay, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. This is a franchise that also kind of had a rocky start coming to America, but I feel like with 4, it really did kind of break the mold. Some people would say around Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, that's when we had it on the Wii U, and I think, yeah, 3 Ultimate is when I first started on the 3DS for Monster Hunter. And although it was super grindy, once I just broke that threshold of like making my first armor set and like playing with my other friends that I had to really convince to play this, we all like sunk in hundreds of hours. So although it's a bit of a grind, More recent games have streamlined the process so much in like Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, and it really did become something really special that I'm glad that I was a part of. I would not go back to the older games, but I will recommend Monster Hunter Rise. How good. Just... Yes, babe. Now I have to edit the video. Okay, so this is my next recent pickup. Although it was one of the first launch titles for the DS back in 2012, Kid Icarus Uprising was a revitalization for the Icarus series, because I don't think there was a game that came out for this franchise since, like, I don't know, 12 or 15, yeah, probably 15 plus years ago. So for it to go completely 3D and for Sakurai to completely re-envision what this series could be, with all of his talent and just making all of these like wild, crazy, different types of use of the DS system with AR cards, like on the rail shooters, really great voice acting. There's just so much to love about this game. My only gripe about it was that my fingers would hurt constantly after playing this game for maybe about more than an hour. So yeah, definitely getting one of those accessibility stands I've heard for the system would help a lot with that, and the ergonomics. Wow, it's really pouring right now. If you hear thunder, totally normal. Yeah, I live in Hawaii, so what you gonna do? Okay, so next one. Pokemon Moon. I don't have a whole lot to say about Pokemon as a series, because I feel like by the time this game came out, Sun and Moon, I really did like that it had the Alola region, and, you know, being also a Pacific Islander, it felt really cool. I got very similar, very vibrant color poppy vibes from this game that I did back in Gen 3. So Hoenn also had this like very nice, lush kind of tropical feel, and that kind of resonated with me. But overall, yeah, the Pokemon franchise started to just kind of burn out with me. I have 2 copies for some reason. Still sticking with the Pokemon theme, we got a couple more here, but this is Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, the remake to my favorite gen and series. I really do like Sapphire. I think it was my first GBA pickup that I bought on my own with my own money, probably for Christmas. I got from GameStop, and yeah, just having it realized and re-envisioned on the 3DS is wonderful. So I'm very happy to have that in my collection. Just good memories and kind of a lot of nostalgia points there. Pokemon Omega Ruby. This is my brother's copy, but it's part of my collection now, so thank you to him. But yeah, same thing. This was both of our, like, as brothers, we would just be on this game all the time as kids. Pokemon Y, I think this is a step back before Moon, but yeah, just sort of after the whole black and white phase and then going to X and Y, just kind of being burnt out. I beat all of these games, but I feel like at this point in my life, I was just kind of speedrunning them to get through the campaign without really trying to grind and do the whole formula over and over again. So having this was okay. A lot of improvements to the visuals, like the other games, but just didn't quite scratch that new itch. Here we go, a really true classic. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. This I've yet to beat, only because for some reason just timed missions and time-based theme mechanics in video games tend to deter me, because they either come off as like kind of the cheap mechanic that adds replayability or like pressure when you don't really need it, because it's a video game, you can always restart. But seeing as how this totally revolves around that mechanic, I have to give it its honest, or I feel like I have to give it its honest, true playthrough. And I'll give my thoughts on that later, but for sure, like, it's legendary and everyone, you know, under the sun has probably played this game. Or under the moon. But yeah, I definitely have to give this its due, but it's in the collection just because, yeah, it's a definite goodie. Following that, we have the OG, the Ocarina of Time. And I have played about halfway through this. I think just before I got the ability to shift into like adult Link. I just kind of fell off during high school. But yeah, this was an OG pickup that I got from like Japan. Like I was in Okinawa and I just had to buy the 3DS when it launched, and this was one of the first launch titles that I could pick up with it. So yeah. Next one, a lot of people may have their gripes with this, and I did too until recently, but this is Paper Mario Sticker Star. The Paper Mario series has seen better days for sure in terms of like the old like playthrough game mechanics style. The turn-by-turn based was what I think a lot of people miss, and they just kept leaning more and more into the paper craft style theme, which really didn't, I wouldn't say was the original focus of the game, because it was more of a limitation and a stylistic choice that they went through and just wanted to let the system shine through that. But yeah, they went really kind of, it's a kind of similar story to like Yoshi's Woolly World. They really leaned into this like kind of, you know, fun paper crafty style, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna even make the game mechanics focus around that. And I think it's wonderful for the environment design and what you can do with the items to sort of rip stuff open on the level and just discover new things, which was really fun to explore. But the way that you, this is already a tangent, I'm sorry, but the way that you make this game, I guess, shine is just like add those things as details. Don't focus on it. Just keep the original gameplay and just spice it up a little with like the different themes. But I recently replayed this and appreciating it for what they went through and what they focused on. I feel like they did a good job without reference to the previous games in the franchise, and it was still quirky and fun to see them just still make, I would say it's a complete package. It's not like a true spiritual successor in any right, but still a fun, solid little game that had a lot of quirks that I think is enjoyable enough for another replay. Recently, I picked up a GameCube OG Luigi's Mansion. I've never played this as a kid, so coming to this game and having it on 3DS and trying it for a little bit was a really fun experience. Funnily enough, because all of these games for Luigi's Mansion were released in different orders, I did not start with the first iteration. I came out with this one, Dark Moon, and just out of the gate, I thought this was a really fun, solid Luigi game. I have not played many of them, but having this one as my first Mansion game was really fun. It was a really tight experience. Kind of interesting that you explore multiple mansions instead of one, and then they really refined and polished the levels and the gameplay in the Switch version for Mansion 3, and then me and my boyfriend played that, and we loved it, and we just totally completed that game to 100%. Small gripe though, if you complete all of the gems and spend all of your money getting all of the booze, they do not reward you for this. In fact, they punish you because they give you a mansion that is worth less because you've spent all your money, because the money is totaled up for a really nice mansion. I don't know, that kind of miffed me. I was like, that's not cool. But anyway, yeah, Dark Moon. Really solid game. I feel like, who worked on this? What studio was this? Was this also Level... I thought it was Level 5. Who worked on these ones? Did it not say? I'll have to look that up later, but yeah, whatever studio worked on like Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm assuming they worked on these ones. They did a really good job with the environments and just kind of sticking, I would say, true to at least like the visual style of the games. Whether or not some people have gripes about like how authentic this one is compared to the first style being a bit more moody. But I think Luigi is just an absolute gem, and I'm really happy to have his games. Okay, so this is kind of like an interesting phase of the 3DS, because during this time, for some reason, they were rebooting a lot of the original games. So like they were remakes on a console where you could play these games on already. Well, we'll get into that a little bit more later, but this is the first remake from a GBA game that I hold very dear to my heart. That was one of my first GBA games back in like 2003. Yeah, oh yeah, it was 2003, trademarked. But this is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. I have no idea what that little plus is about because I have not touched it, but coming from the OG Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, solid RPG. If you have some gripes about the visual style, I could kind of get that because the pixel art was really tight on the GBA. But I think that for the 3DS, what they went for, the studio went for, it still holds true to the original series, and it still has a lot of that love and care put into making the characters expressive and just giving you a chuckle every once in a while, like Mario like burns Luigi or something, or Luigi smashes Mario with a hammer. I think it still translates okay. But yeah, this is just another kind of nostalgia point kind of game, so definite brownie points there. We're just about like 2/3 the way done. Okay, so next in line was, yeah, this one really didn't need a remake, sadly, but I'm still happy to have it on 3DS. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, Bowser plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. I'm a bit more interested in Bowser Jr.'s Journey than the Bowser's Minions add-on minigame for the first game. But Bowser's Inside Story is probably one of the best games in the entire installment of the franchise, and I would think like even on the OG DS, there wasn't really need for an overhaul, but very solid game. Like for the first time, you could actually like play as Bowser and interact with him in a really unique way by going inside of his stomach. But yeah, kind of just an odd one that I think killed whatever studio was working on this. Was it Alpha Dream? I don't think they're around anymore, so RIP. Also, funny enough, like for a 3DS game, they really didn't lean hard into the 3D. Like I would have enjoyed that a lot more as a person who avidly likes to use that function. But it only plays in 2D. Oh, coffee break. Okay, so this is another true classic, Super Mario 3D Land. Again, like this is a game that I had early on, but I think I sold it as a kid. Because it overall just felt like another run-of-the-mill mainline franchise for Mario. At this time, I was also kind of burnt out from New Super Mario Bros., New Super Mario Luigi, New Super Mario Wii U, whatever. Just the whole 2D side-scrolling was really a shame that like burnt out on me the same way that like Pokemon did, just following the same formula. But this is 3D Land. You can move in 3 axes instead of 2. And a really, really good use of the Nintendo 3DS and showing what it was capable of at the time. So there were even some maps where they do require you to use the 3D to get an accurate depth mapping of like where to land on certain platforms. So that was really cool. It's overall really polished and it feels really clean. A bit too clean in my opinion. I do like, you know, some messy enemy variety and just kind of like it's weird. I want a messy, refined, polished experience. But I feel like this is sort of the turn of where Mario got really clean in a way that was not really unique to me. But overall, it's just solid. It's a solid gameplay. Nothing's really broken about this game, and I'm sure you'll have fun beating it. It's still very linear, and it was a fun game to play through. Let's see here. What do we got? Oh, Super Smash Bros. For 3DS. This really, funnily enough, they had a bit of a marketing scheme with this one. They released this game, I think, about a month or just several weeks before they released the Wii U version. Because, of course, everyone wanted the higher fidelity, higher resolution power of the Wii U, which probably also inadvertently sold more consoles when Smash came out on the Wii U. But for this game, for Sora to really put a lot of love and care into, which ultimately translated into Smash Bros. Ultimate, it plays really well. I like how that they really focused on, like, on a handheld, they put like borders around the characters to make them pop out more, even making this game play at a solid 60 FPS, which is crazy. It's really good and it's really solid. I also do really like, just as a side note, that they also made this able to play as a controller for the Wii U version. I don't know if you needed this game specifically, but yeah, you could also use your Nintendo 3DS as a controller if you had too many people at a party and nobody had controllers left. Just bring your 3DS. That was really cool, and I really did like that, and I won a couple of matches, believe it or not, with the 3DS, so that was awesome. Okay, so this is Radiant Historia. Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. And this is kind of a unique game because back in the day, this game existed on the DS, and my friends were really huge into strategy and RPGs back in like the Fire Emblem days with Sacred Stones and Blazing Sword on the GBA. We were just really big Fire Emblem heads, and they had Radiant Historia and just like gushed over that game. I never like even heard of it until heard that it was on 3DS until like about a year back. So coming more into becoming serious about my game collecting, I looked into this, and I'm a little ashamed that I paid into an exorbitant price for this game because it was not cheap getting this complete in box for the 3DS. There is like a special bundle box, but I just wanted the game case and the game. But this one I started about maybe an hour in. It was really good. It just sadly is more of a time sink, and I'm sure it is great, but I would love to beat this one day. Maybe when I go into like my JRPG niche and I just start beating all of my JRPGs. But definitely a solid pickup, probably one of the best in its category. So Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. I don't think many people like are fond of this one, at least being on the 3DS, because it's like, why would you want to play a lower resolution version of a huge, vast, open world game on a smaller screen? I don't know what Nintendo was thinking entirely with this series, but I booted it up for the first like hour of the story, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It was pretty cool to see this level of action and character development so far. I've only been exposed to this character through like Smash Brothers. Like a lot of these games have introduced me to a lot of franchises have been introduced to me through the Smash Brothers franchise. Xenoblade being one of them, and yeah, like I just got this because one of my friends is really into Xenoblade Chronicles and just really recommended it. So I picked it up, and he even lent me the steel bookcase one of the Switch game. I think that was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I know it's a huge time sink, and I just have to sit down and focus to play it and enjoy it. But I have it, and it's there for me to have on my backlog. Yokai Watch, the Pokemon, I don't know, rival, competitor. I feel like at the time it was doing something different from Pokemon, and it was kind of interesting for me to be in like a different headspace for collecting yokais or just like spiritual demons. That was kind of a cool little like Japanese cultural diversity, even though it's still another Japanese game. Like Pokemon's a Japanese game. But just seeing a little spin on the monster collecting franchise was pretty cool. I feel like it was directed a little bit more towards like a younger audience, even though I was a teenager at the time. But yeah, I think it's a solid little game, and I have yet to play like Fleshy Souls, or was it like Bony Bones, the second installment, and I heard the third one is really good, so I do want to collect that sometime, but those are just becoming increasingly rare to get. So Yokai Watch, it's a pretty good game. Okay, so this one I purely got just out of nostalgia because I played the original PS1 Bust-A-Move, and that one was so fun. There was like multiplayer where my brother and I or my mom, we could all just sit down and just verse each other. There was really fun animations in this game, and it was great. This specific version, Universe, it is so bare bones and so boring. The only redeeming factor is that there is this little cartoon dragon here, the mascot, and that is it. Other than that, it is so boring. There's no real campaign. You just go through like mini game after mini game of just popping bubbles, and I was kind of disappointed by this, but nonetheless, nostalgia points, so it goes in the collection. One of the most recent pickups that I got on a recent trip to Washington was Steel Diver. This was another launch title that came out during the 3DS to sort of showcase the 3D capabilities of the game, and it just always kind of passed me by because it didn't have like a huge like mascot that was like cute and just there. I'm just like, it was just submarines. Like, I don't know. It's sort of in the same vein as Pilot Wings. It never really caught my eye because it was just about airplanes. But I gave it a shot and played about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of the game, and it's like fun. You just simulate a submarine, and you just try to kind of speed through an obstacle course. And yeah, it stays true to what it promises to deliver, and I feel like the 3D is good. It's a fun, simple game, and I will try to beat through it because it is not terribly long. But yeah, a simple little kind of pick up and play casual game, Steel Diver. Yeah, wow. We went through the entire library of my 3DS collection. So if you guys like that or would like to see more, I do have a, I think similarly sized DS library. It is by no means as large as some of the other collectors that I've seen in the YouTube space. But, you know, for a humble little set of games that I think are pretty high quality, I really try to avoid bloatware. I don't want to collect games that are just on the system so I can have a complete collection. I really do want to collect things that I do enjoy, or I think I will enjoy sometime in the future before the prices become so exuberant that it's not even worth picking up or buying digitally. So, as a quick side here, buying digitally is something that I thought I would really like as a kid because it's like, oh, everything is like at my fingertips at any time. But with the closure of the eShop recently, like that just sucks. Having a physical library is the true way to go for video games, in my humble opinion. So I do want to just keep it that way. And you know, I'm also more of a visual guy. You know, I'm an artist, so I just like seeing a cool collection of games that are like very beloved and I'm fond of, that I can just look at by setting on my shelf and just appreciating with all of my other DS memorabilia. So yeah, that's that. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and man, 2023 is upon us. Let's have a good year, good game collecting year. Hope everyone finds some gems and just has a great year doing whatever you love. So, bye-bye. Hello folks, you made it to the end of the video and I wanted to congratulate you with this ad. If you want to check out more things that I do and keep up with my creative projects, you can follow my Twitter at Shikokubo. That's SHIKOKUBO. Fair warning, it is pretty Wild West up there, so whatever you see is what you get, and I am not taking responsibility. But if you want to check out my Patreon, that's also at Shikokubo. That's SHIKOKUBO. And I generally treat it as a tip jar, so if you'd like to just throw some fun bucks my way, it goes a very long way for me, my projects, and the show. So I'll just still make this stuff, but a little goes a long way, and I really appreciate it. So I hope you guys have a great day, and take care. Bye-bye.